Hey Jess, how you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Not too bad. I'm excited. This is a big day for Savage, and I just want to say on behalf of HuntStand and HuntStand Media that we're really thrilled to be a part of this, and I think our audience is going to be extremely excited as well because not just for Savage, but for the shooting sports community, the launch of this rifle that we're going to be discussing right now that just officially debuted today, it's a big deal.
It is. I mean, it's been a little over 2 years in the works for us, so it's finally nice to kind of get it out there, be done with it, and get everyone's feedback on it and get excited about it.
So, for everybody who's watching this, if you haven't already seen the news in some form from HuntStand Media or any of the other outdoor media entities out there, what we're talking about is something that I'd like to introduce by a personal story of my own. I've been a lifelong hunter. I grew up hunting with bolt action rifles when it comes to big game, and shortly into my career, I had the opportunity to go over to Poland to do a driven hunt. And I was hunting with all these other writers and editors from media outlets around the world. Most of them were from Europe, France, and Sweden and Poland. And I noticed that these guys had some rifles that I had never really seen before, and they didn't operate like a traditional bolt action rifle. And I also noticed that while we were on these game drives, those guys were shooting their rifles almost as if they were semi-automatics. I couldn't believe the speed at which they were able to take their shots and, for that matter, do it accurately. And so that was my first introduction to a straight pull bolt action rifle. And now Savage is coming to the table with the very first all American straight pull. So Jess, let's let's take the wrapping paper off and reveal the impulse.
Yes, Savage is introducing the Impulse, a straight pull rifle from Savage. And I've got a similar story, I think, to you. And I did get to go on a driven hunt in Europe many years ago before we even started working on this. And the same thing where, you're with so many hunters in the woods clearing wild boar off the property. And you're looking at these other shooters like, wait a minute, their gun's faster than mine. Like, what the heck's happening here? And so we took a long, hard look at the market, and if you've paid attention the last, 3 to 5 years, Savage, we've really dipped our toes into a wider variety of product categories. So straight pull rifles is one of those categories you really want to look at, knowing that straight pull rifles have been around since 1800s. They're not a brand new concept, but they're primarily manufactured by European companies and sold in Europe. No one's really gone after this North American market, or let alone the global market, with the variety of options that a straight pull rifle can offer. If you're familiar with our Model 110, you know how versatile it is and how we fill so many niche categories. So we looked at Impulse the same way. We were like, we can do so much with this action. What have we learned does really well with a conventional bolt action rifle, as well as the speed of a semi-auto MSR and the speed of a straight pull rifle. So we kind of looked at all of these categories and said, let's figure out what works and everything and bring it together. So for those of you who get to first look at Impulse, you'll see it looks like a conventional bolt action rifle. It has a lot of the technologies you've seen in other Savage products, but we're able to get faster speed for quick follow-up shots. We can get the same accuracy you see in a Savage bolt action rifle. And you also can get accuracy. So you get accuracy, speed, and safety too. So we're
Before
super
we
excited
uh,
about
before
that.
we go into more about the rifle itself, I think there's probably going to be quite a few people who are just entirely unfamiliar with what we're even talking about when you say straight pull. And it might be obvious to some, even for those who have never experienced one firsthand, but just walk us through what is a straight pull bolt action rifle.
I know, so I'm getting carried away. I get so excited. We've been working on it for so long. It's great to get it out there. So, straight pull rifle, simply to operate the action, is a rearward and forward motion. So you're opening the bolt, closing the bolt. Two motions, that's it. Whereas a conventional bolt action rifle, it's an upwards, rearward, forward, down in order to reset. So in this case, for myself at least, it's about a 2 to 3 second time in order to, fire off a round and reload another live round. Versus a conventional, it takes me about 5 to 6 seconds, which I know I get it, I'm slow, but it's a much faster action. So that's kind of how the straight pull action works.
So as we both know, old traditions typically die hard, and just it's human nature for people to be resistant to change or new things. But I think Savage is coming to the market at the ideal time to bring quote unquote new rifle technology. It's not a new rifle technology, but it is in this capacity and in this environment, an all-American straight pull. I don't think there's a better time to bring something like this to market. You know, as soon as you guys can make a gun, it's flying off the shelves right now. So I'd have to assume that as soon as these things get to market, people are going to be aching to give them a shot.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those rifles, and I did it where, your instinct is to quickly lift the bolt and throw it back. I actually didn't do that, thankfully. I knew I'd been around it for 2 years now, but at that moment of I quickly reloaded the next shot, I was like, oh, okay, I've got this, right? This makes a lot of sense. And so we don't plan to completely obliterate the traditional bolt action rifle and that whole market itself. There is a market for that. And there's a market for ARs. But, as things get banned and everything goes forward, this still offers consumer solutions for existing problems, or gives them something new, something to check out, something to try out. And, especially for like hog hunting, predator hunting, where you want those quick follow-up shots, but you also want accuracy, this platform certainly works for that.
Absolutely, yeah. So going back to the thing you said earlier about accuracy, uh, safety, and speed, let's break those down a little bit. I guess let's first start with the safety part of it, because I know a lot of people might see this technology to begin with and wonder how this is going to compare to the safety of locking lugs and a traditional bolt. You guys have come up with something that is pretty cool visually and functionally, that ensures the safety of these rifles so that you're not going to run into troubles with even Magnum calibers. Can you talk about hex lock?
So hex lock is a proven roller ball lockup mechanism. So within the bolt head, you have 6 ball bearings, hence hex lock, that lock up into the action. These ball bearings do tighten relative to pressure increase, and there's a lot of physics behind how that works. But what that allows us to do is handle those Magnum cartridges up to 338 Lapua even, as well as hot hand loads, which is something that a lot of competitive products can't really handle. Now, this lockup mechanism is actually a proven design. It's been around for many years. Heim SR30 actually features a similar concept, and Anschutz actually developed it early on as well. So again, when I talked about what works in conventional bolt action rifles, what works in straight pull rifles, and what do people really like in ARs, kind of tying that all in together, when we looked at straight pull rifles, we actually saw this lockup mechanism as the most robust that could really handle what we were looking for. And so we took that and we said, all right, let's make it better. So we even then expanded and added technology and innovation on top of that. But we knew that that would work, and we wanted to be able to handle those pressures. So you can look up those technologies, but hex lock is really what's going to give it a very robust lockup for safety measures as well as accuracy.
Yeah, so speaking of the accuracy, talk about how this plays into headspace and just also just the mechanics of a rifle shooter, not having to lift that bolt. I mean, a lot of times it's a natural tendency for people, especially for folks who don't shoot a lot, to take their head off the stock during that upward cycle of a bolt lift, especially with a longer bolt lift. This really eliminates that with that straight pull.
It does. So if you get a chance to handle it and operate the bolt, you'll notice the difference between handling this and a regular 4-motion bolt action rifle, in that you're not lifting it sideways and you're not really kind of manhandling it, for lack of better words, in order to open the bolt and close the bolt and load another round. So your rifle's not moving side to side or up and down, and you're not taking your head off of it in order to operate it. The bolt handle's not going to hit you in the face. It's really coming back just enough to load the next round. But additionally, we knew that we couldn't launch a rifle that wasn't accurate. We'd deal with that forever. Savage is known for accuracy. So we went out making sure that this was very accurate from the get-go. And Impulse actually features a Savage 110 barrel, which everybody knows is accurate, right? And we also have a floating bolt head, which is where hex lock is seated. And because it's a floating bolt head, that means we're allowed to set zero tolerance headspace, just like our bolt action rifles. So zero tolerance meaning it's as tight as it's going to get for that caliber. So you're not going to have any variation shot to shot.
So also with the accuracy, similar to the 110, you guys have carried over the AccuFit and the AccuTrigger, right?
Yes, so AccuFit, AccuStock, and AccuTrigger technology are in Impulse.
Yeah, and for anybody out there who's unfamiliar, essentially those parts of the rifle give you a lot of different flexibility for sizing the rifle to your individual fit so that you can shoot better. Your rifle is going to fit with that AccuFit and that AccuStock, but also with the AccuTrigger, I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. It has a great reputation as a very clean trigger, and it's adjustable. And I think with that bladed design on the AccuTrigger, it's especially helpful for people if they're wearing gloves and they just need a little bit more confirmation before they make contact with the trigger before that gun's going to go off. So it's really a trigger that you can't go wrong with, and I'm glad to see that you guys did carry it over into Impulse.
We did. It's actually features the same safety and accuracy that you see in a 110 or an Axis or anywhere else the AccuTrigger is prevalent, but you can even adjust it from outside of the stock behind the trigger guard, which is something we've been adding into new products, just so you don't have to take the action out of the stock in order to adjust it to your personal preference.
So what are we looking at for initial models with this launch? How many are there, and just kind of break it down what we've got on the table for starters.
So initially you'll see 3 models out there: the Impulse Hog Hunter, Predator, and Big Game. Retail or MSRP on those is going to range from $13.79 up to $14.49, but street price, you'll probably see it hovering around $1,100, $1,200, which is extremely affordable given the competition. I mean, just looking at competitive products, so European-made brands here in the States, I mean, you get like 3 pages deep in Google, and you're at like $3,000, $5,000, and that's if you can find one and then get it shipped to a dealer near you. So pricing is extremely competitive, especially for the feature set and the technology that we've loaded into this thing.
What are just a quick breakdown of the differences between the Predator, the Big Game, and the Hog Hunter?
Yep. So the Hog Hunter is going to have AccuFit and AccuStock and AccuTrigger. The AccuTrigger is going to be adjustable from 2.5 to 6 pounds. You're going to see it has an OD green stock with black overmold surfaces as well as a matte black action. So all 3 configurations have threaded barrels standard with a thread cap. And all 3 of them actually have an integral 20 MOA rail built into the receiver. But the Hog Hunter is going to have just a standard matte black action in calibers, really varying like 308, 30-06, 300 Win Mag, 6.5 Creedmoor. So the basic calibers that you really want to kind of go out there with. The Predator, slightly different, but built off of that a little bit. It's going to feature a mossy oak camo stock with a matte black action. Again, threaded barrel, 20 MOA rail. Slightly different caliber offering, though, since it's Predator hunting. So we've got 22-250, 243, 308, and then 6.5 Creedmoor, the beloved 6.5 Creedmoor. That Predator model also actually features an AICS bottom metal, which has some patents associated with it as well. So it has a mag release lever that surrounds a trigger guard, so it's easy to operate with left or right hand, and it's one piece as well, which allows us, as well as the consumer, to switch between short action and long action easily with one receiver. And then the last model is Impulse Big Game. So this is a very Halo product for us. It was fun to work on, but it has a QU Verde camo stock, again, AccuFit, AccuStock, AccuTrigger, and then a hazel green Cerakote action. This model will be out there in a wider variety of calibers, so more of our big game stuff like 6.5 Creedmoor, 243, 308 Win, 300 Wisdom, 30-6, and then up to 300 Win Mag at launch.
Now that integrated rail is not something that Savage has done before, right?
It is not.
I really like that. Just I can tell you from personal experience, the number of times I've had to mount optics and you go to the store and you can't find the right bases, or it's just it ends up becoming a headache real quickly. So I'm a big fan of that integrated rail. Plus, I think there's just some inherent gains that you can get from the accuracy of having that built right onto the receiver.
It is probably the amount of times like you've went into mountain bore site and scope a rifle and then only to realize you have the wrong bases, the wrong size screw holes, and you're like, yeah, it'll start tomorrow. So in this case, it is an aluminum receiver, and we are able to do that because we have a barrel extension in there. So with the aluminum receiver, it also gives us a little bit more flexibility in manufacturing. So we said, you know what, let's just go ahead and add an integral rail, which, you know, we can change at the factory, but in this case, 20 MOA is pretty standard. Gives you some flexibility in optics as well as distance. But again, like you said, accuracy. So it's built right in. There's less flexibility, less movement in parts if you don't have bases being screwed into receiver and then rings being installed on the bases and then optics. So just less moving parts equals better accuracy.
Well, I can tell you that I've got several hunts already lined up. Hopefully, starting next week, I've got some coyotes that are causing trouble on a hunting lease that I have in Wisconsin. So maybe I'll be able to get out there and run this thing through and try to put down some of those dogs. But I've also got some big game hunts coming throughout the rest of the year. I can't wait to get this rifle out there and see what it can do. I've had a chance to shoot it just, more so target shooting. And I know a lot of other people who have already shot it, and I've heard nothing but great experiences so far.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to shoot. I can tell you I've already cleared a space in my safe for it already, so I'll be getting one soon, if not already.
Good deal. Well, with today being the launch, you guys have done a really good job of releasing a lot of assets for people to learn more about the rifle. Is there anywhere outside of HuntStand Media within the Savage universe that you want people to look, or any specific videos that you take a lot of pride in that people should check out to get a first look?
Absolutely. If you just go to savagearms.com, we've got a whole webpage assigned to it. You can check out videos, content, educational, even how-tos. You know, if you're able to get into the store and snag one right away, if you want to learn how to swap out the bolt handle, put it on the left side, right side, everything is there already. We really want to give consumers the ability to kind of be the experts on this rifle and know what they want to go get.
Yeah, I think we've shared, the core details of this rifle, but there's still a lot more for people to learn. And once again, I just want to thank you on behalf of HuntStand and the HuntStand community for giving us the chance to be among the first to learn about this rifle. It's going to be a big deal moving forward, and I think it's going to make a big shockwave in the American market.
Yeah, I really think it's going to make a difference. It is loaded with technology, so we definitely want consumers to go check it out. Go learn more at savagearms.com, and we're glad that you're here with us, kind of getting the inside scoop.
All right, well, you have yourself a good day, and we look forward to chatting anytime soon.
Thanks, Josh. Talk to you later.
You too.